Three students are discussing impressions of university life compared to expectations at university.
Honestly, I thought uni would be a bit more like those movies. Studying, more just like having fun. The amount of work for my science and tech classes has been way harder than I thought, especially with all the lab reports and homework due every week. It's definitely a big change from high school.
I totally get that, Lily. The studies here really surprised me too, especially trying to manage the lectures and all the reading. But on the other hand, I've found the social life to be way better than I expected. I've joined a couple of clubs and met so many different people. It's a really great community, much more welcoming than I thought it would be.
Yeah, the social side has been a nice surprise for me too. But I actually thought I'd have more freedom to choose my classes and learn at my own speed. It feels like there are still so many required classes and set schedules, which kind of limits that independent way of studying I was hoping for. I thought I'd be able to guide myself more.
That's a good point, Jessica. I mean, sure, we have more flexibility than high school, but it's not quite the make-your-own-degree dream I imagined. Plus, I find it hard to get enough sleep because there's always something due or some event I feel like I should be at. It's like I'm always trying to balance everything.
I actually think there's a lot of freedom, even with the main classes. You get to choose how you manage your time and what study methods work best for you, which is a huge step up from being told what to do all the time. For me, that independence in daily life, like cooking for myself and budgeting, has been the biggest thing I've learned and something I really enjoy.
I agree with the daily life independence, that's definitely true. But when it comes to studying, I just feel like I'm still following a set path instead of just exploring what I'm interested in naturally. I guess I had this dream of really getting into unique subjects, but the basic classes feel a bit too much like high school extension sometimes.
Right? It's like the difference between what they tell you about uni and what it's actually like every day is bigger than I thought. I imagined having endless deep talks in coffee shops, not late nights in the library with instant noodles. Still, I wouldn't change the experience. It's just very different.
Yeah, it's definitely not a nonstop party, but the challenge of the schoolwork is actually pretty rewarding when you do well on a tough assignment. And while the social life isn't always like a sitcom, the real connections you make here feel a lot more real and supportive. I found a good balance, eventually.
I think that's it. It's about adjusting what you expect and finding your own flow. It's less about the big, sudden changes I thought would happen, and more about growing as a person in small ways and learning to handle more responsibility.
Three students are discussing what they feel about a course.
I don't know about you guys, but I think today's lecture was way too hard. The professor kept jumping between different theories, and I could barely keep up with what he was saying. By the time he started explaining that third concept, my notes were just a jumble of scribbles. I even missed the part about next week's quiz.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But honestly, I think it gets easy to go through the reading list first. The professor mentioned those books for a reason. If you read them before class, the lecture makes a lot more sense.
Maybe. But the reading list is so long, there are like 7 books and 4 articles. I don't even know where to start. Do I need to read every single page? Or is there a way to pick out the important parts?
Well, actually, it's pretty easy to find those books on the library website. They usually have all the course readings listed there, organized by week, and you can just search by title. Oh, and most of them have PDF previews, so you can flip through the contents to see which chapters the professor highlighted.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I've been wasting time scrolling through random websites trying to find summaries. Most of them are either too vague or don't match what the professor talked about. I should have checked the library first instead of struggling with those.
It's totally fine. Half the class didn't realize the library had all this stuff at first. If you get stuck, the librarian is super helpful. Last week, I couldn't find one of the recommended articles, and she showed me exactly how to access it online. She taught me how to use the library's archive database, and we found it in 5 minutes. She even printed out the key sections for me.
With the library and the librarian helping find reading materials, doesn't that just show how important the reading list is? See? That's why I keep saying the reading list is your best friend. If you read ahead, you're not going in blind during the lecture. And trust me, once you've read them, the lecture won't feel half as hard.
Okay, you've convinced me. I was skeptical at first, but hearing you both talk about it makes sense. If the library's that easy to use, and the reading list actually lines up with the lectures, I'll try checking the library website tonight, and maybe talk to the librarian if I get lost. Sounds like she knows her stuff. I'm willing to give it a shot.
Good plan. Once you get the hang of it, finding the readings is pretty quick. I used to spend hours stressing over it, but now I can pull up what I need in 10 minutes. Also, you can bookmark the course page, so you don't have to hunt for it every time.
Are chatting in the school library after class about how to improve presentation skills.
Hey guys, I'm really stressing over the 10-minute presentation next week. I keep worrying I'll blank out in front of the whole class and embarrass myself. I really want to come across as calm and prepared, but I'm scared I'll just freeze up and lose my train of thought.
I totally get how you feel. Presenting can be super intimidating at first. But one thing I've learned is that you definitely shouldn't read from the script word by word. It makes you sound like a robot and loses people's attention. Also, something that really helped me was to practice and practice in front of a mirror. It lets you notice your body language and adjust your tone.
I used to be nervous too, especially in middle school. My voice would shake every time. One thing that helps me now is I try to avoid the audience's eyes directly. Instead, I look at their noses or foreheads, so it still seems like I'm engaged. Another tip is to use visual cues on your notes. Like, you can highlight the script with pens of different colors for different sections.
Those are really helpful suggestions. Thanks, both of you. I've always thought I had to memorize everything perfectly, but focusing on keywords and structure sounds a lot more manageable. Do you think these techniques would help in more formal settings too?
Absolutely. In fact, presentation skills are useful after graduation. For example, for an interview, you'll need to present yourself confidently under pressure. It's a very important ability to be confident to express yourself, whether you're pitching a project or just sharing your opinion in a meeting.
Yeah, and it's not just about the presentation itself. It's also about building self-confidence over time. Maybe we can set up a small practice session together this week. We could take turns giving feedback and trying out different methods.
That's a great idea. We could even record each other on our phones. Sometimes seeing yourself present helps you notice little things you want to improve. Plus, if we make it a regular thing, we could all become much better speakers by the end of the semester.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be only for big presentations. We can practice explaining anything, maybe even topics we're learning in other classes. Who knows? Maybe we'll even start enjoying speaking in front of people someday. I think we could start with something low pressure, like explaining a favorite book, or an interesting concept to each other. That way it feels more casual and easier to relax.
I'd really appreciate that. Having you two listen and give advice would make me feel a lot more prepared. Let's meet tomorrow after school and run through it a few times. Thanks again. You've already helped me feel less anxious about the whole thing. Also, if you're both okay with it, we could each prepare a short 3-minute practice beforehand, so we can give more focused feedback during our session tomorrow. Three students are discussing whether they should take part in a field trip organized by the university.
Honestly, my part-time shifts conflict with the field trip, and it will cost me a lot of money. But even if I take the day off, the lost wages would set me back more than I can afford right now. So I think I'll have to sit this one out. After all, the trip is just an optional one.
You are right, optional. But I will definitely go. The trip will be so great for all people. Business majors can visit a hotel by sea to see how it is run. Those who major in geography will be glad to see a beach, and I believe the beach cleanup activity will attract them. I am a history major, and the field trip includes a history museum, which ties perfectly into my research on maritime trade. So why miss out on a free trip with friends?
Let me think twice. A free trip with a lot of friends? I have to admit it will definitely a great chance to socialize. You know, I've been wanting to meet more people outside my major. Maybe I'll see if I can swap my work shift. My coworker owes me a favor, so fingers crossed.
I won't go either. Although I am from the business department, I see no point for business students to go so far just to visit a seashore hotel. Hotels are almost everywhere in the city, aren't they? A seashore one won't make any difference. Isn't it just a glorified ad for the resort sponsor?
All the same as hotels in the city? I am afraid not. In fact, a hotel by sea involves very different management than the urban counterparts. And you can imagine guests on the beach will raise many different requests to the hotel. So you can learn a new style of hotel management.
You are so persuasive, and now I'd love to, but I will have a very, very important football match that weekend to take part in. I am one of the team's starters, so my absence would drive the coach and my teammates mad. You don't know how long and how hard all of us have been preparing for the match.
I see your point. However, I really hope you can reconsider the field trip and join us. Besides, the hotel will help you a lot on your major. Don't forget the history museum I just mentioned. I hear the museum has a wonderful sports history section. Didn't you say your team's researching athlete nutrition trends? You could totally find relevant archives or old studies there, and that could even give your team an edge.
Well, the sports history section does sound interesting. Our coach has been pushing us to study past training methods lately, but the football tournament is a big deal for our team. We've been practicing for months. I'll think about it, but don't get your hopes up.
Okay, now you guys have got me tempted. Everyone keeps saying the beach cleanup activity is a good icebreaker among people from different departments. Plus, I've never been to that history museum, and it might be a nice change from my usual routine. But no promises.
Discussing the accommodation options next academic year.
Hey guys, I was wondering if you've made any decisions about where you're planning to live next academic year. I know the housing application deadlines are coming up soon, and I'm still trying to weigh my options between staying in university accommodation or finding a private flat. Honestly, I like living in the dormitory because I can learn cooking from other students, share food, and make friends.
I have to agree with staying in university housing, though for slightly different reasons. The convenience factor is unbeatable. My dorm is literally a 3-minute walk from all my lecture halls. When I have 9 a.m. classes, I can wake up at 8:45 and still make it on time.
Actually, I just signed a contract yesterday for a studio apartment in the city center, and I couldn't be more relieved. After a full year in the noisy dormitory, I'm really looking forward to having my own quiet space. What I hated most about dorm life was the constant disturbance. People coming and going at all hours, loud music in the evenings, and the worst part was definitely sharing kitchen facilities.
That's interesting because my experience has been completely the opposite. I've actually grown to love dormitory living, especially because of the shared kitchen. Cooking has always been my passion, and I found it such a wonderful way to connect with people from different cultures. Just last week, my French roommate taught me how to make authentic crepes, and in return, I showed her some traditional dishes from my country.
I'm quite particular about my food, and it drove me crazy when people would help themselves to things from my shelf in the fridge. This new place is slightly more expensive, but for me, having that privacy and peace is absolutely worth the extra cost. Also in the dormitory, I have little personal privacy, where I have to share the kitchen and someone else steals my food, like drinking my milk, eating my food.
And it's not just about convenience for me. During the exam periods last semester, we organized nightly study groups in the common room where we could quiz each other and explain difficult concepts. That collaborative environment really helped boost my grades in ways I don't think would have happened if I was living alone off campus.
That's exactly why the shared kitchen feels so special to me. Those spontaneous cooking sessions often turn into great conversations where we learn so much about each other's backgrounds. For me, that cultural exchange is one of the most valuable parts of university life that I'd miss in private accommodation.
Speaking of dorm downsides, noise is a huge one for me. It makes me hard to focus on study. So I have rented an off-campus room and have signed the contract, but the place I've found is just a little far from the university.
You two have covered culture and quiet. Let me loop back to academics for a second, but more importantly, I have found the academic support system invaluable. The dorm has a study lounge on each floor, and there's always someone around to bounce ideas off.
Thank you for watching this video. Will help you a lot, and subscribe our channel Vital PTE Academy to see more education related videos of PTE Academy. I will meet you in next video.